1460 WVOX.
Now, live from Whitney Media, 1460 WVOX, the Greenburgh Report, with Greenburgh Town Supervisor Paul Feiner. You can join in the conversation at 914-636-0110. Now, on 1460 WVOX, here's Greenburgh Town Supervisor Paul Feiner.
Good morning, Westchester. I'm Paul Feiner, and today we have a really interesting program. My guest is Daphney Mickle Golden, and she came up with a really great concept, a calendar featuring outstanding African-American women, and she also wants to give back to the community.
That's right.
So thank you, Daphney, for joining us, and maybe you could tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. My name is Daphney Mickle Golden. Wow. Just about myself. I've always had a love for the entertainment space. I studied film and broadcast years ago at Manhattan College. So I'm a Jasper. I'm a longtime Jasper, which is also green.
That's good.
And so today my work is talent management. After working in the field of communication for some time, I wanted to start something on my own. So I do talent management, special events, and special projects. And so this here is our special project.
That's great. Could you tell us a little bit about the calendar?
Sure. The calendar, it's titled Boss Moms, and we are showcasing women of color, African Americans, Afro-Latinas, and we are just showing them in their glory. We understand that, the past several years, the decade, it's been the year of the women. And women have been doing phenomenal things, making great strides in the workspace and in the home space. Sometimes you have to be your own CEO at home and not just at the workspace. So we really are just showcasing women really from all over. And we were happy to invite Tawanda Braxton to be a part of the project. And she was happy to do that. She has 2 wonderful children, and she was just excited to share that being a mom is her best achievement.
What percent of the women that you focus reside in Westchester County?
Let's see. Wow. Westchester. How many? I didn't do that tally. I am featured in here. We have a woman from who's on Furman Avenue, which is White Plains. She's in here. She's a longtime cosmetologist. Sharina Delgado, a 26-year-old who has a model academy based at the Galleria Mall. She's in here. I really did not do
Tasha Young?
Tasha Young is in here. That's right. So I'd say probably at least half.
That is great. How did you decide who was successful in being featured?
How did I decide that? It's going to sound a little strange, but it's like you just have a knowing, I've been doing media and relations for so long that you just it just kind of draws to you. Miss Young, as you know, is very phenomenal. And she's got such a following and such love, and admiration in the community. I knew she was definitely a go, And then it's just so important for millennials to see themselves. And so I knew it was essential to get some young individuals in here. So Sharina Delgado to be 26, Afro-Latina, doing big things, to own a store in a mall. And, the young people are so creative. So I knew that she was a definite. And then we have a young lady from New Rochelle, also millennial, 28 years old. If they were just doing something, making a mark, right? During the pandemic, the big word was pivot. How are you going to pivot? What are you doing? And so these 2 young ladies were doing something phenomenal.
So one of the goals is really to inspire
Absolutely.
people. If they read if they have the calendar,
Yep.
they would be inspired to also give back to the community.
Oh, yes.
And you're trying to highlight some of the great things that they've been doing.
Yes. Yeah. And I really am looking to work with schools. I've already been in touch with Mount Vernon High School. Sharina Delgado has actually already gone there.
We have to take a break, and then we'll be back in about 5 minutes, and we'll learn more about the calendar and about the future plans and how people could get the calendar and why this is so important.
Sure.
I'm Paul Feiner.
1460 WVOX.
Now back to the Greenburgh Report on 1460 WVOX. Once again, here's Greenburgh Town Supervisor Paul Feiner.
Hi, I'm Paul Feiner, and my guest is Daphney Mickle Golden, and we're talking about a very interesting concept calendar featuring leading African-American women who are inspirational. And I guess, could you tell us the story about somebody who saw one of the features and how it inspired her?
Oh, sure. So I was explaining to Mr. Supervisor that the calendar is really for everyone. Everyone in your household should benefit from the calendar, okay? Especially the fact that we've just gone through so much within these past 2 years. You know, shelter in place temporarily, go out only when you need to. All these things have kind of pushed people to do more things like reading. What are you doing in your leisure time? You're not just watching TV. And so this calendar was produced in the fashion that it's very much like a magazine. It's high glossy. I like nice things, and when it comes to giving to other people, I want to give them nice things. And so
it's it's very quality. The paper is nice.
Yeah.
How do people get the calendar?
Sure. You can go to bossmoms.me. Again, that's bossmoms.me. And if you're in the area of Westchester County, we can come to you. We do some deliveries, but also we send them in the mail. So I've got some people in Georgia that have ordered them. I've got a couple of individuals from Virginia, Florida, that we're mailing them out to. But if you're in the general area, I'm able to get to you.
Great. In terms of the cost and if there's any social benefits, could you tell us about that? Sure.
So these calendars are $30 each. Why, do you ask? Well, for one, it wasn't extremely inexpensive to produce them. So we use a wonderful facility in White Plains, New York, known as Copy Stop. They're phenomenal. I'm putting a little plug on them because they did such a great job. $30 each. What happens is we use part of the proceeds to invest in people, to go to various schools in and around Westchester and beyond, to speak to the student body. I am big on helping people dream bigger, go bigger, do more. And how do they do that? By seeing someone else who has done it. And so it's exciting that I can call Cherry Martinez, who's really well known in the music space, radio space. She was on 105.1 FM for 15 years. She's here in this calendar. And we can get in touch with her and say, hey, look, Mount Vernon High School would like you to speak to their student body. So that's why we produce this. We want the young people to know that they can do everything and anything that their heart desires. But it first begins with a conversation. It first begins with seeing someone that looks like you, saying, hey, look, I did it. And this is what I had to do to make it.
That is really a very great concept.
Thank
because
you.
What I guess the goal is every month people would look at a different feature and they'd read about that person and say, you know what, I could do the same thing and I could also be a success. Was it very difficult finding the people, figuring out who to feature, because there's so many people that it's like a big honor to be featured in your calendar, and I'm sure people are jealous of the people if they weren't picked.
Well, hey, you thank goodness that it will be something that we will do every year because of such a positive response. It was challenging, but I think it became a little bit less challenging when I recognized that, hey, there's always next year. If you didn't make it this year, you can be in next year's calendar. Was it hard? Not really, not terribly. There were so many factors. I mean, some people didn't make it in, and I had to find backup individuals because people were struck with COVID. And I had to wait for them to just do that waiting period of 14 days and heal, And so those folks that didn't make it are going to be in the 2023. So I'm excited about that. I already have my roster ready for 2023.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, I recognize that mayors are loved and beloved. And I'd love to get in touch with Miss Bottoms, who was the former mayor of Georgia. I think she did such a phenomenal job, and people can relate to that. There was like a movement almost, and so much sells, right? So much is appealing to the viewer. She was visually appealing, a pretty woman of African-American descent, very chic, sharp hairstyle. All those things help with sales, if you will.
But she was the mayor just
Atlanta.
Last year, right?
Yes.
And she was actually under consideration for vice president, I think.
I believe so, which is a tall order. That's a big pair of shoes to fill. But yes, I believe she was. So that's even more of an incentive. But yeah, I always like creating projects that allow an element of giving back. And also what we're doing with churches, with large purchases, we are allowing them to have 30% of the proceeds that we generate. So it's like, it's double giving or double dipping, if you will. I want them to benefit from the large purchase. And then I also want to be able to use the proceeds to just outreach.
Right.
Yeah.
Another question.
Sure.
And I'm speaking as a man. Is do people say, how come you're featuring only women rather than men? Or
sure. I feel that we have been loving on men for many years, many decades. And I just think it's time to give the female a little shine. And it doesn't mean that we're not going to do something for men. I'm trying to see what I can produce and create within 365 days and to also make it spectacular. So the men, it has been on the radar, something that we can do. But I just think that, Black History Month, let's get it in. Women's Month, let's get it in. It's important.
How do you market a calendar?
How do you market a calendar? Creatively. First off, you get people that will invest in it, right? You say, look, we want you in this, but this is what we require. We require that you assist us in promoting this. We want the word out on this. And so that's one element. We've had some marketing on social platforms and stuff like that.
That's great. We'll be back with Daphney Mickle Golden. And again, could you tell us how people could get the calendar?
Sure. Please go to bossmoms.me. That's BOSSMOMS.me. M-E. Thank you so much for supporting us.
Thank you. I'll be back in a couple minutes, and we'll talk about this interesting calendar concept. Great. I'm Paul Feiner. Welcome back to our show with Daphney Mickle Golden, and we're talking about her calendar. And you have some really interesting ideas. I find it like so inspiring. The people who you've had. Do people turn you down when you ask them to be on the calendar?
That would take a lot of chutzpah to do that, but. I can't say that they have. I cannot say that they have. No, not really. I've not really gotten that.
And how much time does it take to be part of a photo shoot?
Sure. I'm glad you said photo shoot. I had a celebrity that wanted to do a photo shoot on my dime. I'm like, look, lady, this is a fundraiser. I can't do that, So, but I do that. Thank you for saying that. One thing for the most part, I try to get individuals that I already know have a professional photo stock.
That's good.
Because that way they don't need to say to me, hey, can you give me $1,500 to go and do a photo shoot? And it cuts time. So if they've already got it in stock, it just cuts time. And that was the prereq was, we're looking for 5 to 6 photos. We're looking for a biography. And let me know what month you're interested in being in. And that way people either chose their birthday month or they chose that of their children, which has made them the parent, right?
That is nice. Let's go over some of the people who are featured in this year's calendar.
Sure.
So we could start. Let's look. Hold on for a second.
Sure.
So during the month of January, who did you feature?
Now, for January, we kind of left it blank, just because we just thought we would be a little tad bit behind schedule. And so we just left it blank. And however, we do feature as a promo piece, we do feature a young woman from Yonkers, New York. And her name is Dr. Ashley, Cynthia Ashley. And she's really, really, really on the radar. She has her own television network. It's a Christian network. And she's done some big things. I mean, she's just recognized globally even. She's really has had a footprint. So we were happy to get her there. And she's pictured with Dr. Umar Johnson, who's a big deal, who's a social activist and a clinical psychologist. So, yeah, we have quite a few people. February, we have got Greenburgh's very own Miss Tasha D. Young, who is phenomenal. I mean, just please look her up, read all about her. She is just an all-star.
And we're working together on trying to set up a food co-op.
Nice.
And we want to have people participate in the co-op and have ownership. So if somebody... so it could be a win-win. The community would get the benefits of a grocery store.
Nice.
And people who are out of work would get the benefits of starting a business and owning it rather than just working for people. So,
that's creative,
yeah, she's really a hard worker and very creative.
Sure.
And so you were talking about that, and in March?
In March, what was nice about this project, it also allowed me to showcase some of my clients, my talent. So Junie Gennard is one of my models. She is 46, still trim. Okay, so she's like a size 4, and she's about 5'11" in height, which is an ideal height for certain model opportunities. But she's also a social worker by day. And she works with HIV and AIDS patients, and she's a model citizen.
And you mentioned before that you also have your own business. So this is only part of the work that you do.
Yes. Yeah. I work with a gamut of individuals. If you're looking to write a book and you need help on that process and pathway, I'm there for that. I also assist PR and marketing. So it's in many ways, even the calendar is an element of PR and marketing. So I was able to, as I mentioned, place one of my clients in the calendar. And so it's just a great thing all the way around.
That is good. So, and this is an opportunity for people who may not be familiar with some inspiring woman to learn about people who they may not normally know anything about.
That's correct. Absolutely.
And it's also good for for them because they're able to. It's a way of getting better known.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And so if I segue into April, we have Miss Eileen Brown, who has a shop and who's been a part of Westchester County for many years. Eileen is a cosmetologist. She has been doing my own hair for about 17 years. So she's done a great job. And I thought it was a nice way to promote her. So one thing I could also say is that when it came to advertising dollars were taken. Okay, so people also paid to advertise because this is a fundraiser. So we need help in every which way that we can get it. And so
have you there's a magazine called Black Westchester magazine.
I want to get in touch with Mr. AJ Woodson. I need his help. I definitely need his help. He's a big deal and he's well loved and he just gets the job done in a lot of areas. He's busy, he's quite busy with the work that he does. But
because maybe that magazine might want to promote.
That would be awesome.
Or the county press. Have you dealt with them at all?
You know what? I have not this go around because like when in my PR world, it's like I always am writing a press release. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. It's a lot. So I have not done that with the county press this go around. But I will be sure to do that. And not for nothing, even the woman that runs the county press should be highlighted in the calendar.
Right. One of the interesting things about a benefit of a calendar is if you send out a press release.
Sure. I did do that.
And press release is picked up by the newspapers. People may look at it for a minute.
Sure.
And then they forget.
Sure.
If you're on a calendar,
it's
you
ongoing.
basically, people will look at, at your face. They'll read your bio. It could be 30 times during a month, and they may remember the name better. So that's one of the big advantages from a PR standpoint.
Well, also there's just little things that you can do. I said, you know what? I want people loving this calendar. I want them embracing it. I want them to see and recognize every day that it's high gloss. It's a quality product. And so I didn't drill a hole in them, because no way, don't hang this up and put the weight on the wall and have this fall apart. Leave it on the coffee table. Leave it in the kitchen. Let the family see it and see it on a regular basis. So that has been a real treat.
That is great. So getting into the warmer weather, we have May. And who are you featuring in May?
May, thank you for mentioning that. May is exciting. We are featuring, for any of you rap lovers out there, rap artists, you may be familiar with the group called Mobb Deep. And they were huge in the 90s. And the long-standing member is still a big deal in that arena. I am featuring Havoc's mom, Havoc of Mobb Deep. His mother is Minister Mercedes Thomas, and she's also a master chef on the side. So we wanted to highlight her, right? It's that is great. I'm reading all these bios here. Yeah.
And some of the people who you're featuring have so much interesting backgrounds.
Yes.
And it's nice. Instead of reading just a magazine, this is, like you said, it's really a magazine and a calendar.
Yep.
And I like, it says, live your life. That's a quote to live by.
Yes.
So now we're going into June.
Then we segue right into June. And in June, we have my beloved sister. So everyone was on board with this. This is my sibling. She's my BFF, my best friend forever. And she does a lot. She is I was going to say, she's a marine biologist. No, I'm kidding. She is a real estate agent, and she's very good at it. She's had such great success with it. She's also very savvy when it comes to investment, and I got to, communicate with her often and get some tips. She's very, very good when it comes to the stock market and knowing what to invest in. And then beyond that, she is a stellar mom, and that is a job that's just, it should be getting like at least $100K a year. Okay. It's a big deal. It's a tough job. And she has done a great job in that role.
Great. We have to take a break. Could you tell us how people can get the calendar again?
Sure, everyone. Listen, Mr. Finer's allowing me to be so comfortable here in this space. Please go to www.bossmoms.me.
Great. I'm Paul Finer, Greenburgh Town Supervisor. We'll be back in a few more minutes.
Now, back to the Greenburgh Report on 1460 WVOX. Once again, here's Greenburgh Town Supervisor Paul Finer.
Good morning, Westchester. I'm Paul Finer, and my guest is Daphney Mickle Golden. And Daphney has a calendar showcasing women who deserve to be recognized. And I was thinking when we were talking before, one of your positive qualities is it seems like a very, very positive person.
Thank you.
And
yes.
I could see a lot of people who always find that there's problems with things and looking at problems, and you seem to look at what's good about people.
Yeah.
Is that?
I love that you were able to pick that up. Yeah, that's. I look at it through a different lens. People actually always say that about me. They're like, wow, you never say anything bad, and it's just, I guess it's all perspective. So yeah, that's absolutely spot on.
No, I think that is really,
thank you.
I think that's a very, very positive, quality, which is, my recommendation is that you should feature yourself on the calendar. Mr.
Finer, I will tell you, I am in the calendar.
Great.
I am in there. I am. It was a tough call to make. I think when there were some people that had COVID, and I definitely needed to say, well, I got to be in here because I can't wait to weigh this thing out and see when they recover and stuff. So I did feature myself in here, because I don't know, I've coached a lot of sports, and so in many ways you're like a parent. You can be a parent when you're coaching. I've coached lacrosse, I've coached volleyball, and you're just wearing a certain role when you're interacting with kids.
Where do you coach?
I used to coach at the School of the Holy Child in Rye. I was there for like 3 years. I was considering getting back on the field, because there's so many benefits to coaching. I mean, it certainly helps to keep me in shape as well. So I was considering Tarrytown to Sleepy Hollow High School or either middle school. I think they have a modified position for lacrosse. And, just before I kind of age out of that, I should probably, move forward with the opportunity.
Great.
Yeah.
We also have Kyra.
Yes.
Can you tell us about Kyra,
Sure.
who was featured?
Sure. So her name is Kyra.
I'm sorry.
A little softer. And she's an all-star. She's a real rock star. Kyra Keane is a Hollywood scriptwriter. I thought it was so crucial to get her in here because, again, we want young people to dream big and just aspire to be great, aspire to follow through with that thing which caught your attention as early as, I don't know, 3 years old, 4 years old, right? So she is a scriptwriter. She has written a lot of phenomenal scripts. She's been a part of In Living Color, for those of you that remember that project in the 90s. She's also been a part of this show called Girlfriends, right? Featuring Diana Ross's daughter. That was a really big hit. So anything that you could think of that the Wayans brothers produced, she was a part of the writing team. So she also did a project with Eddie Murphy, the PJs. I think he had a project which was like a claymation, animation. She was part of the script writing team. And then today, so you never get too old, you never age out of doing what it is that you want to do. And so she's taken a small pause on writing, and now what she's doing full throttle, she is singing. She now is like pursuing her first love, which was singing.
That is great.
Yeah.
And what about Danny? Danny Florestan.
Yes. Yeah. I wanted to showcase Danielle because she is a hardworking mother. I mean, apparently there's just nothing that a mom would not do to be a blessing to their children. And so Danielle is a single mom of 2, and she's a sports mom. She's a volleyball mom. Her 2 girls are really engaged in that sport, and every sport can be costly. There's traveling teams and all that. And she does it all. She does it all with a smile. She's also has a degree in teaching and education. So, everything that she has to do to make sure that her children have a great life, she does it.
So being a successful woman, or African-American woman, doesn't mean you have to be a Michelle Obama.
You do not have to be a Michelle Obama.
You could be successful and be proud of yourself.
Absolutely.
And people could look up to you if you're just a successful mom.
That's right.
And that's really a very interesting concept.
Absolutely.
So really what your calendar is featuring is
all disciplines.
All disciplines, and recognizing that people should be proud of them. Shouldn't judge people by their titles.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Which is really great. I never really thought of that until this this program, because we always look up to the celebrities.
Sure. And you know what? And sometimes the celebrities are looking at us, right? They're looking for the individuals that have a calmer life, so to speak, or just a different path. And then, there's this thing about 6 degrees of separation. We're all connected one way or another. And so it was very interesting to find that Danielle, comes from a family of singers. Now, she's not a singer, but she does her music in different ways, and that's through her hands with cosmetology.
Who's Tawanda Braxton?
Tawanda Braxton. She is one of the lovely Braxton Fives, right? She's one of the lovely singers in the Braxton family. There's Toni Braxton. There's Tamar Braxton. There's just, there's a lot of girls in the family, and they're all singers. And Tawanda, I was really engaged with her because I knew that she really was able to handle her superstar sister's career very well. She handled her calendar, she handled her schedule, and she did that for decades. And I said, now that's a boss mom, okay? Because many of us are aware of Toni Braxton, and what a phenomenal voice Miss Braxton has. And when I recognized that it was this sister that made sure that things ran smoothly, I said, we have to have her. We must.
And Cherry Martinez?
Cherry Martinez, cherry on top. She is a recognized radio personality. She has, climbed through the ranks to get that recognition, which is, you start from the bottom, right? You segue right out of college. You do those internships, and then you just keep climbing. There is no glass ceiling. There's no stop to greatness. And so we were very happy to be able to include Miss Martinez,
great,
who is fairly local. She resides in New Jersey. So it was, it's great that we were able to get representation from pretty much everywhere.
That is, that is great.
Yeah.
We only have about 2 minutes left,
Sure.
and I wondered if you might want to say some things that I didn't ask you about.
Sure. Let's see. Well, I would just say that the Boss Mom calendar was very rewarding. And I just like to give back. I'd like to, Mr. Finer, I think you like to see when is there a problem in the community? How can I help? And I think I'm wired similarly. What triggered this project, I was informed that a school within Westchester, the kids were really out of control, right? And I could understand it, right? Because, children have IEPs, they have learning challenges. Everyone doesn't learn the same. And yet they were on the sidelines when it came to COVID. There's a little bit of hindrances. And I said, what can I do within my abilities to give back, to help calm things down a bit, and put smiles on their faces instead of frowns. And this is what I came up with. Let's go into schools. Let's talk to them. Let's keep those kids happy. They are the future, and they can do great things.
Right, and to get them to recognize that there are people just like them
Absolutely.
that could be that have become successful in the fields that they've chosen.
Yes.
So in the minute or so left, could you tell us again how people could?
Yes. So everyone out there in Radio Land, you can get these calendars. Go to bossmoms.me. Again, that's boss, BOSS, moms, MOMS.me. Please support. It goes to a great cause. Mr. Finer has allowed me to share with you all what it is that we're doing. And every purchase matters. So a big thank you to everyone already who has made a purchase. Those of you that are near and far, you've had no problem sending us $30, whether it was by PayPal, Cash App. We are just grateful. And thank you.
Great. So thank you very much for joining us, and good luck, and we'll also look forward to your 2023 calendar.
Yes.
So you're starting to work on that now?
Yes, pretty much right away.
That is that's great. So I'm Paul Finer, Greenburgh Town Supervisor, and I'd like to thank everybody for listening to today's show, and I'd like to wish Daphney great successes in all your endeavors.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot.
Awesome.
Great. Have a great weekend.